big dream, spark the fire within. Building business brick by brick to win. Every setback, every climb, shape our hustle, strength and time. Chasing growth and nothing less. This is the journey from scratch to success.
Hello everyone, welcome to From Scratch to Success, where I interview the most successful entrepreneurs about their journey. My name is Jayma, your host, and today my hair is done by Lauren On. Today I've got the most funniest person that I have met in a very long time, Joe White. Birth name Telahun Hailu. From a refuge camp in Sudan to a sold-out show at Edinburgh Fringe and Sydney Opera House. This award-winning Ethiopian-Australian comedian turns his remarkable story into laugh-out-loud humor, bringing infectious energy and warmth to stage worldwide. Get ready for Joe's unforgettable blend of sharp storytelling and heartfelt comedy. Let's find out about his journey. I'm so blessed to have you here, Joe. How are you?
Hey, Joma, very excited to be here. I'm only here, obviously, because of a clip that I saw when you introduced the Maz Brownie and you said Maz Brownie, and I thought that was the best, and I have to come and speak to you.
Well,
That's the only reason I'm here. So I'm disappointed you said Tilahan and not telephone and made that mistake with me. So
well, that's okay. I'm sure along the way I'll make some other mistakes, but I'm just really happy to be here. Happy for you to be here. Really, the only reason why you're on the show is so that I don't have to pay a ticket to see your show.
Oh yeah. You never have to pay. You just message how many tickets you need. It will be sorted.
Oh, no, wonderful. Well, thank you for being here. Joe, tell me, first of all, how did your name come about?
My real name, Tilahan, was given to me by my mom.
Yep. Your
Anu was given to me through my dad. No, Joe White. That's what you mean.
Yes.
School, in high school, I was Joe. That was my nickname when I was 14, 15 years old. I went with Joe. That name was given to me though by like a soccer youth group that I used to play with, and I was, me and my brother, we were the only Africans in that group. And this is a long time ago when it was like every room you stepped into, it was only white people. There was no other. It was us and white people. I mean, me and my brother, or me and my sister. And then now, you start to see like there is one black person, one Indian, one Asian, one white person. So it's starting to be very multicultural and different now. So it's like nicknames are not really, European nicknames are not really encouraged as much as they were when we first came to Australia in '98. So all my mates, when I had the soccer ball, they struggled to say Tilahan or Tilahun because when you pronounce the T in Ethiopian alphabet, it's pronounced with the noise, noise. So you so that little. Well, if you want to say it right, a bit of saliva has to hit the screen. So just there's no saliva on my screen, so you're not saying it right. But it's
again,
during COVID, it was banned because the saliva, right? So you couldn't say it. But it's that noise, Tilahun. So that's how it's pronounced in Amharic or in Ethiopian language, Tilahun, right? But go.
Telahun.
Too much pause between the t and the lahun. It has to just Tilahun, one word. This is gonna be the whole interview. Go on.
Yeah.
Halfway through.
Later.
By the time we get to the end, you'll be dehydrated of all the saliva that left your mouth.
Let me try one more time, okay?
Yeah, don't worry. Remember, maybe even get a bit of phlegm involved. Get out. I'm joking.
You were joking on one side. I take things seriously.
Okay. If you say it right, you get a lifetime of free tickets.
Okay, hang on. Ready? Listen. Okay, I'm coming closer. Okay.
Sounded like there was some sort of bad reception when you said it. It was like you either choked or there was muffling going on with the connection. I don't know.
Let's just leave as that. I think that's the best I could do. I feel like I just like Telehan.
You know,
Telehan.
that's why I make it easier, Tilahan, right? But at least you tried. A lot of people, they go, "What's your name?" And I say Tilahan. They go, "Good to meet you, man."
No,
Yeah.
I always like to give it the best shot, you know?
You did great. So it's I have to clean my laptop after this chat because there's saliva on it.
Yeah, I felt a little bit here on the side.
You're drooling.
Anyways.
Yeah, so they couldn't pronounce Tilahan, so they said, "We call you Michael." And at the time, I had issues with a friend called Michael, so I was like, "No, no, no, Michael, no, Michael." That was my English at the time. No, Michael, no, Michael. English no good, no, Michael. And then they said, "What about Joe?" They said that. What about Joe? And I said, "Okay, Joe's good," because at the time I was listening to Joe Thomas. I don't know if you know who Joe Thomas is, but he's like an R&B and hip hop African American singer.
Okay.
He's amazing, incredible, ladies man, smooth talker, confident, tall, had lots of. Oh no, actually he was bald, but like he was just a ladies man,
Yeah.
And it's like everything I wasn't, and I wanted to be. Growing up without a dad, it's like you don't really have anyone to model it to, like the type of man you want to be. So when I saw Joe Thomas, I was like, yeah, I want to be like that guy. He's cool. So when they said, "Can we call you Joe?" I was like, yeah, call me Joe. And they went, "All right, we'll call you Joe." So everywhere I went, I told people my name was Joe. And when I went to school and they said, "What's your name?" and I'll tell everyone, "My name is Joe. My name is Joe." Forgetting obviously that the teacher is going to do a roll call and she's not going to have Joe. She's going to have Tilahan, right? So the first couple of times, obviously, I'm sitting there. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm Joe. I'm Joe." And then the teacher is there going, struggling to get, she's like, "Who the hell is this?" And everyone's involved to try and help her work out who this random person is they've never heard of. And I'm involved to try and help them work out who this person is. And then I was like, "Oh, that's actually me." And everyone's like, "What?" And I was like, sorry,
Oh my goodness.
Eventually, like now I would go up to the teacher before the roll call and I'll be like, "Hey, it's actually Joe, right? It's pronounced Joe." And the teacher will go, "Joe," and I'll go, "Here." And just did this. And, here and there, as I built my confidence in myself, I start to tell people the story. Yeah, my name is Tilahan, but it's pronounced Tilahun, but it's hard for you because people have died trying to pronounce that name. White people. So just call me Joe. And they go, "Yeah, we'll call you Joe." So that's how Joe came about. But people will go, "Do you know Joe?" And people will go, "I don't know Joe." They'll go, "The guy in you, whatever year, the black guy, Joe Black." And so it became Joe Black now, right? Everyone starts saying, "Do you know Joe Black? Do you know?" Because in my school, I was the only black guy in my year. And my sister was the only black girl in her year.
Yeah.
It was a completely different world to what it is now. Now there's Africans everywhere, but when we went, we were like the only black people. So they'll be like, "Joe Black, Joe Black." And then the movie Joe Dirt came out, and everyone started saying Joe Dirt, and I was like, "No, not Joe Dirt."
Wow.
Call me Michael.
That's funny. Sounds like you had quite a journey at school with names, Joe.
Identity crisis, isn't it? Ethiopian, born in Sudan, raised in Australia. So I was third cultured. Growing up here, not really feeling that I'm that Ethiopian, compared to my Ethiopian friends who grew up in Ethiopia mainly. And then also, the people here in Australia, they look at you because you're black. They think you're like the African American black because that's the culture they're fed off, that they're fed about black people. So now I have to try to live up to that cool gangster hip hop reputation. Meanwhile, I'm just like, "No, I'm a refugee from Sudan. What's going on?" It's the Australian culture that I have. So there's all this obviously confusion that I had to go through.
Yeah.
But Joe was my nickname in high school, then Joe Black, and then at 29, when I left my job and I became a comedian, everybody has stage names. I wanted a stage name, and so someone said, "What about Joe Black? That was your nickname in school, but then it wasn't funny." And then we decided, you know what, go the opposite. When they don't have a punchline, Joe White, and then I come out looking like this, which is so far from the truth, it's funny. So that's why I went with it, because it's funny, not because I thought Joe White was the best name out there, which some people think.
No, I think it's great. I mean, you know, people don't even, you don't even have to tell a joke. We just introduce you, Joe White, you come out, you know, people immediately start laughing. So I
100%.
appreciate it.
So that
Yeah.
was the whole reason why I got Joe White. It's not
Yeah.
because it's the best name out there.
No, it's amazing. So I want to dive in a bit. You mentioned about your earlier journey being a refuge, you know, from Sudan. Can you tell us a bit more about just, yeah, overall your journey, the origin story, and how did it all begin? Yeah.
Yeah, so my dad and my mom met in the border of Ethiopia and Sudan, and then they moved to Sudan, a refugee camp that's no longer there, called Tuwawa. That's where they had us. Do you know, I didn't even know it was a refugee camp. I thought it was an actual normal town because it was massive and there's so many people there. So
Yeah.
I just thought I was from a normal town in Sudan called Tuwawa.
Mhm.
I only found out it was a refugee camp because mum didn't tell us, but I only found out it was a refugee camp really when I was catching an Uber in Melbourne recently, and the Uber driver spoke Arabic, and I was like, oh, I was born in Tuwawa, I speak Arabic as well, and I spoke a little bit of Arabic with him.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, I know Tuwawa, and I said, oh, it's no longer there though, and he goes, nah, it's not there, but I used to work there as security, and it used to be a refugee camp. And I was like,
Wow.
what? He goes, yeah, it was a refugee camp. So I was like, damn, I was born in a refugee camp then. So I asked my mom, and she goes, yeah, it was a refugee camp. I thought you knew. I was like, no, I had no idea. This is great content. Thanks, mom. Yeah.
That's good.
We
Wow.
were born there, and then dad left when I was probably about 5 years old. He became an alcoholic, and he left the family. And mum went from a stay-at-home mum to now having to provide for us, and she struggled a bit. So we moved to the capital city from the refugee camp, which was rural. We moved to Khartoum, to try and obviously make for a better life. But when we moved to Khartoum, it became even worse. You know, she struggled to find work. We became homeless at one stage, and I'm not talking about spending a night on the street, maybe a year on the street. You know, just trying to find food, going through bins, exposed to the elements, cars at night driving past you so close, and you think they're going to hit you, and you wake up, and you know, mum's there just mortified and about what's going to happen potentially, because there's a lot of bad men out there, you know. I remember mum had to tie 3 of us this side and 3 of us this side to her torso using ropes and clothing and stuff, because people would literally try to steal you at night when everyone's asleep. So, you know, that was like our safety rope, and we just had to stick together, and we got through it. She did a great job. My mum's, this is why I have the utmost respect for my mum. And then by some godly miracle, we got a humanitarian visa to migrate to Australia. This is, a lot of people didn't get that opportunity. A lot of people we know died, you know. A lot of people still stuck in our situation. We got this miracle, and we migrated to Perth, Australia. And, you know, coming in at night, you could see all the lights. We weren't used to seeing that much lights. It looked like the stars had fallen. And so we were just like, we knew straight away, you know, that life was going to be different.
Wow.
I'll tell you I'll tell you this, and then we can move on from it. The first time I knew that our problems were solved was when they took us to, so there was a church that was welcoming us to the community and was going to show us around. They took us to our house, and they go, this is now your house. And we're like, this is our house? They're like, this is your house. And we looked, I looked on the dining table, and there was a bowl with all these apples in it. And I just went up to the bowl of apple, and I was looking at it like it was some sort of miracle that I had found. And people didn't know why. But the truth is, when I was in Sudan and we were starving, going through bins and stuff, we always saw this guy with a cart, and he had so many apples, and we couldn't afford the apples. So we'll just look at them and drool, you know. And so when we came to Australia, Perth, Australia, and they had this bowl of all this apple, we were like, apple, we're rich, with so many. And I'd start grabbing, eating it, giving it to my siblings. It was incredible. I knew we were rich when I saw the bowl of apple.
Wow. I just want to say thank you so much for sharing all of that, and just the rawness of your younger childhood and that journey with your family. It's incredible. And Joe, praise God that
Yeah.
you guys were able to be out of that situation, and to have to imagine being homeless not just for a day or two, but like for a year, trying to struggle for food. That's something that, wow. And look at you now.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't make me cry on my own show, mate.
No, 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 no. I don't want you to cry. But if you want to cry, you're welcome to. Like, if,
I thought this was supposed to be comedy. What's going on here?
well, that's this. You're speaking to Tillahan right now. You're not speaking to Joe White.
That's
Joe
it.
White only comes out on stage for the purpose of entertainment. Tillahan,
I know.
we can have a heart-to-heart conversation on top of
No, yeah, that's beautiful. So, what inspired you? Like, who inspired you? What inspired you to later on get into, being a comedian?
Yeah, for me, I was a banker before I was a comedian. I worked as a personal relationship manager or private client manager. So my job was, I represented the bank and I wrote home loans for CEOs and companies, and you had to be suited up. You had to have a pin in your tie.
Yeah.
You get a company car, credit card. You got paid close to 100 grand with bonuses. You can get more. So in the eyes of society, you would be considered successful. And my mom, she was proud. Because from where we were to her son now looking like $1 million and working at a bank. Because immigrant parents, when you work in a bank, they think you own whatever money is in the bank as well. Because you have to, and you're like, that's not how it works. I'll go to jail if I touch that money for you, right? So in the eyes of society and my mom, I would be deemed successful. But in truth, I hated the job I was doing. I just felt like I didn't have a purpose. I was stuck in a rut, and I didn't know what the meaning of life was. And do we go through everything we went through just to end up in a cubicle where you're doing the same thing, rinse and repeat? And at the time as well, I wasn't like I didn't have very good relationships with people in my life that I loved, that I appreciated. So I was very unhappy. I was very depressed. And one time I was talking to my sister, and my sister, she was crying, and she was like, "Hey, I just saw this psychic lady. Do you know this psychic, like a fortune teller lady?" And we're Ethiopian Orthodox. We don't believe in any of that stuff. We're like, oh. And she said, but she was so accurate with some of the stuff she was saying. She should not have known, blah, 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 blah. And so me and my sister, we were intrigued. And she's like, you should go see her because, maybe you can catch her out. And I was like, yeah, maybe I can catch her out. I'll go and see her. So I went to see this lady, and she's like, I'll be brutally honest with you. Whatever job you're doing right now, banking is not your calling. I see you on stage making, talking to people. It's high energy. I don't know what it is, but it's high energy. And she goes to me, "Are you a rapper?" And I said, "Are you stereotyping?" And she's like, "No, I'm not." I said, "No, I'm just joking." She goes, "Oh, okay." And then from there, just before I left, I told her about a month ago, I actually wrote one page of stand-up comedy in the hopes that maybe I'll try stand-up comedy, because people kept saying, my mates were like, you should try stand-up comedy. Because at the time, I was also trying everything to try and find my purpose, something that I loved, which wasn't banking. And so when I told her this, her eyes lit up, and she told me, this is what you're supposed to be doing. This is your calling. You're supposed to be on stage making people laugh. And if you don't, give it a go. If you don't get up on stage, you're going to be an old man and regret the way you lived your life. And when she said that sentence to me, I was like, oh, I don't want to regret the way I've lived my life.
No.
And so I had to do it. And so when I did my first stand-up, first 5 minutes, and I got 3 applause breaks, just the fact that I created something and it made people happy, and the validation that I felt from them, I felt seen, I felt heard, I felt valued. And I was just, I've never experienced this feeling before. And I was hooked. I was honestly hooked. Wow. 2 years later, where I handed in my resignation and I was out of the bank, I went fully into this.
Wow. That's wow. So what was like a crucial turning point? Would you say the point that point when you handed in that resignation was that crucial turning point for your journey?
100%, 100%. You know, because before I got into stand-up comedy, when I was in banking trying to find that thing, my purpose, I was listening to people like Jim Rowan, people like Bob Proctor, people like Les Brown, Eric Thomas, like a lot of these speakers. If when I was listening to them and they were talking to me, I wasn't just listening, you know, the usual with my head. It was like they were speaking to my heart, you know. And so when I was listening to them, they were all about finding that thing that you love and fully committing to it and not half committing, you know. And so, and Jim Rowan talks about working part-time in your dream and full-time in your job, and then part-time in your job, full-time in your dream, and then just fully delve into your dream, right? Like progress. And so for the first 2 years while I was doing comedy and banking, I was juggling the two.
Yeah.
And comedy was doing so well. And so I just thought to myself, well, if this is how well it's doing now while I'm doing it part-time, why don't I fully go in and not have any safety nets? Because when things get hard, what do? We look for safety nets. We look for that bridge. And I said, I don't want any bridge. I don't want any safety net. I want to commit to this. I want to give it a shot. I want to give it my best shot. And so I went downstairs and I gave my boss my resignation letter, and he was like, "You're mad. Just take a year off and then come back after a year." And I was like, "No, because if I take a year off, I will come back. Because when things get hard, I will come back, and I don't want to come back." Yeah. So I handed in my resignation. I went downstairs and I booked a one-way ticket to Canada for, you know, like a 1 year or 2 year tour around Canada.
Yeah.
And I lasted 6 months around Canada because I didn't know it was really cold in Canada. Did you know this? Did you know this?
Well, I've heard it's really cold over there. Yes.
I had no idea. I was just like, I'm going to live in Canada for 1 year and be doing shows all over. I'm going to be amazing. I'm telling you, I experienced not even 6 degrees with a bit of wind. And I was like, please, God, if you're real, bring me back to Australia. And I got the opportunity to come back to Australia and open for Maximini. And I was like, thank you, God, who is also Maximini. And I came back.
Amazing. That's so wonderful. And Joe, what would you say was some of like the early challenges or doubt that you faced when you started comedy, besides the weather?
Yeah, I think you know, making that decision from full-time secure check at something that you worked so hard for, and you know, you in the eyes of everyone around you that you love, you trust, they tell you, yeah, this thing is amazing, this thing is great, you're at peak success, do not mess it up. And you're like, oh, okay, but it doesn't feel success, you know, like I don't feel happy about it. But this thing that society and your loved ones deem like, it's just fun, it's just silly, we're just playing around there, like to try and go from giving up that thing that everyone's telling you is the thing to this thing that you feel some sort of connection to and you feel could be the thing. But if you do it, you're going to let a lot of people down, I think. And knowing that you're going to be eating 2-minute noodles for the next probably few years until you start to actually get proper earning from it, I think making the hard decision from giving up that safety net, that check, that whatever society considers to be successful, and just going into the unknown and really just delving into this thing that you don't know what it is about it, but you feel happy, you feel connected to it, and you just believe it's going to work. Like to just fully go from giving up that safety net to this unknown territory and working it out. I think for me, that decision making was what I would say is, what's the question you asked, was the word you used?
Like early challenge and doubts, you know, you had. Yeah,
so going from that the doubt was obviously massive. I just had to trust my heart and my decision. And I just had to trust that the people that loved me, that supported me, would understand. Even though I'll be eating 2-minute noodles, at least I'll be doing it with a smile. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's really beautiful. Shout out to 2 minute noodles.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
mom
100%.
thinks.
I survived.
And I think, a lot of times people, like our loved ones, would have different ideas for our future or what they want us to do. So when things doesn't go their way, they don't know how to deal with that. But it's
Yeah.
all from love. So I think it's amazing that despite all of that, you pursued what you want to do, and look at you now,
Yeah.
on stage, and shining like a bright star.
Yeah, yeah. Shining like a star.
Right.
The best way I convince, like the best way I lay it out to my mum, if she says, no, stick to banking or do this, and I don't agree with it, and I want to do it this way instead. I just and some people see it like, oh, you're going against someone who raised you, someone who worked so hard to bring you here. But I just tell my mom, that the reason why she worked so hard, suffered so much, to protect us and guide us to bring us here, is that so we have opportunities that she didn't have.
That's
And the opportunities we have here is we have a lot of access to information, a lot of access to technology. We have access to books, Spotify. She wouldn't know any of that stuff. We have access to all of this stuff. And there you find, books and information on how to overcome certain challenges, how to process certain challenges, right? And so under all that knowledge that we've taken in and we've learned from, and the tools that it's given us, we make those decisions, to try and make our life a little bit better than our parents. Now, if I had listened to my mom and not applied everything I know, right, I've wasted her time. I've let her down. All her sacrifice has been for nothing. So I make this decision based on all this access information that I have, thanks to her. So I just ask her to trust that I know what I'm doing, and she's like, okay. Now that you put it that way, since you won't stop talking, I trust you. All right.
Oh, beautiful. So, Joe, what was the first successful milestone for you, and how did it feel for you?
The first successful milestone for me would have been my first festival run, and it was really the one thing that made me go, okay, time to go in full time into this job and leave this bank, right? We were in a meeting, a sales meeting in the bank, and everybody's going around talking about their stats, and the boss is going, Chanel, you missed out by how much? And she's like, oh, I missed out by 20%. Oh, and everyone's like, oh, damn, you were so close. What about you, Greg? Oh, I missed out by 5%. Oh, awesome. And then they'll get to me and they'll start laughing, because my sales were horrendous, right? And I laughed with them because I knew that I was like, this wasn't my thing anymore, because I was so busy touring and doing comedy in the background, So this was not my thing anymore. But while I was doing the festivals in the background, I was actually killing the festival. I was selling out my shows. And while we were there discussing all these meetings and sales and who got bonus and who got close to bonus, some people didn't get actually no one got bonus in that room, but everybody worked their butts off and they got so close. I was the only one who just got paid from all his festival shows, and my pay was bigger than the bonus. Wow. And so everyone's looking at me like, you didn't even come close. We came close. In my head, I'm going, no, I got paid a bonus, but I got doing what I love. You guys didn't get your bonuses and you worked your butts off doing this job, right?
That's right.
And that's when I was like, I'm the real winner here. I got to go give this comedy thing more love, And that was the moment for me where I was just in my head, just giggling to myself.
Let's go. Wow. That's good. You're like suckers.
Yeah, I love them. They're nice people, but they were laughing at me all the time for sucking at banking, and I was like, well, it's not my thing.
Yeah. So, Joe, what keeps you going and motivated?
Now, my daughter, I've got a 4-month-old. Yeah, she's so adorable. So I want to give her, the best life that I can. I want to give her a life that's better than mine. So my mom gave me a life that's better than hers by bringing me here. I want to do well. I want to be financially so successful that I can give my daughter whatever she wants and my loved ones whatever they want. So that keeps me going, you know.
Yeah, that's so special. May I ask what your daughter's name is?
Leilani. So her mom's Maltese and I'm Ethiopian, and we gave her a Hawaiian name just to mess with her, you know. Yeah. I just love it because I listen to Sam Cooke. I don't know if you know who Sam Cooke is, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I think I have.
he's an African American singer from the I think 60s and 70s. He's got a song called "Sweet Leilani," and
Oh,
yeah, so it's like "Sweet Leilani, heavenly flower, I dreamed of a paradise for two. You are my paradise come true." It's such a beautiful song, and I thought this is gonna be our song. You know, I can dance with her like at a father-daughter dance moment. And so when I hold her now, I sing that song to her. Sweet Leilani. She better be sweet, you know.
oh, that's beautiful. Wow, thank you for sharing that moment.
Thank you. If she's gonna be anything like her mum, she's not gonna be sweet. She's gonna be fiery.
No,
I
I'm
can
sure.
say sweet.
No, what he meant is that, she's really sweet. All right, Joe, what habits or routines do you have to keep your success?
I think my routine and habits is like going to the gym regular. That keeps me sane. You know, because we tour so much, we fly so much. It really takes its toll on the body, and so I go to the gym as much as I can, maybe 4 times a week, 5 times a week. And my partner Melissa, she's so supportive. She understands how important the gym is to me. It's my time to just relax and regulate and think about work, but also just focus in this environment, sweat it out. And when I come back, I feel regulated and I feel really great. So that's gym 5 times a week is what works for me. But it's also part of my habit. I've been training since I was probably like 16 years old. You know what I mean?
Wow, amazing.
Yeah. And I try to hold myself accountable as well, because working for yourself, you can get lazy. And distracted, really, not so much lazy, but distracted.
Yeah.
And so I make sure I have like a couple of hours a day where I write and spend time filming content, editing content, and so I try to have little things, routines here and there, but I also tell my partner what my goal is, so she holds me accountable, and I think that's important.
That's great. Such great advice there. And shout out to Melissa.
Yeah.
Sounds
Did
like
you hear that joke where I said she's Maltese? She only loves me because my head looks like a Malteser.
I'm not gonna comment on that, but yes, a lot of people like Maltesers. It's one of my favorite chocolate anyway. Yeah,
it's my favorite as well.
too funny. All right, so Joe, how do you deal with like burnout or criticism?
I think with burnouts, over in the early stages of my career, yes, I think I experienced burnout. And, at night when you read a comment and it's someone in the mountains of whatever with access to Wi-Fi who just happens to comment on one of your videos and you're like, oh, the world hates me. At the early stages, you struggle to process criticisms, and you're constantly working so hard to try and just deliver. And then so you experience burnout on top of that as well. And I think now I understand the hustle a little bit better. I know it's a marathon, not a race, not a sprint, So I take my time. I enjoy every process of life along the way. So when I'm with my daughter, I'm with my daughter. When I'm with Melissa, I'm with Melissa. When I'm with my mates, I'm with my mates. When I'm talking to my mom, I'm talking to my mom, Before bed, like put the phone away an hour before bed so that you can start, getting ready for bed. So it's like, and when I see comments that I don't agree with or negative comments, I just laugh. I just go, people just, they vomit onto the internet. They have their own opinion. It doesn't necessarily make it your reality. So just don't worry about it, Don't take people seriously. Don't respond to everyone, And so I handle criticisms better now. And when reviewers come to my show and they don't like the show, that's fine. That's one person's opinion. How did you feel the room went? Did people laugh? That's what I care more about now, is people laughing, people having a great time, repeat customers, people messaging saying, oh, thanks, that was amazing. Like, that means more to me now than reviewers or negative comments online. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, I must say you was so funny that night when I met you at the Maz Jobrani show. Yeah, you were pretty amazing. Very, very funny. Yeah.
Thank you. I had a great time. I loved it. Can I tell you how I met the first time I met Maz? Or
Yeah, of course you can.
I was in banking when my Iranian friend Chanel, she was right next to me. And she's like, oh, Joey, since you're doing comedy now, you should open for this Iranian guy that's coming down. And I said, oh, is he famous? And she shows me his following. I went, oh, he's famous. She goes, yeah. I'm like, oh, he's at a theater. She goes, yeah. I said, oh, he's not going to respond. And she's like, just try it. So I sent him a message. And he put me in touch with his promoter. And I spoke to the promoter. And I told the promoter, I'll buy 100 tickets
Wow.
to the show. All I want is 5 minutes to open for Maz. And he went, 100 tickets. I said, yeah. He goes, what are you going to do with these tickets? I said, oh, I'll sell them to people. I'll buy them from you and I'll sell them. Right? Not at a greater price or anything, but just to get like the 5 minute spot.
Yes.
And, he said, how do you want to do this deal? I said, well, we'll meet up and I'll give you the money. And
Yeah.
so the promoter was like, I don't know. I think this kid's crazy or he's a hustler,
Yeah.
But he would have thought I was crazy, but I told him I worked as a private client manager in a bank. So he was like, he can't be that crazy. Right?
Yes, yes.
The bank would not let him. So I met up with him and I transferred $5,500 and he gave me 100 tickets. And then I called my friends frantically going, guys, I need you to help me move these tickets. So I gave one friend 10 tickets to sell them. And I'd go and, sell tickets to people. And then it was almost showtime, and everyone, Maz and the promoter, are like, "Did you sell the tickets?" I'm like, "Yeah. They're moving like hotcakes." In my head, I'm like, "I've still got 50 tickets,"
Yes.
And so I'm like, now because it's almost showtime, I'm giving it to people. I'm showing them Maz's clip. They're like, "Who's Maz?" I said, "Well, look at this guy. He's so funny. You have to come, please. It can't be an empty seat. Oh, I think he's gonna kill me." Please, right? So people would go, all right, we'll come for you. And so they'll take tickets. Oh, but he's got Netflix special. You have to come. He's great. And people would come. And so they'd go, I saw like maybe 50 tickets. The other 50, I gave them away.
Yeah.
And Ma said, did you sell all the tickets? I said, yeah, of course I sold all the tickets. He's like, all right. And they're like, oh, instead of 5 minutes, do you want to do 15 minutes? I was like, yeah. They said, instead of one show, do you want to do 2 shows? I was like, yeah. And they said, instead of just Perth, do you want to come around Australia with us? I was like, yeah, I do. And so the first show was in Adelaide, and I was backstage going, I've never performed to 800 people before. The biggest number I've done was 200. And now I'm doing it for a predominantly Iranian audience. And it's a guy that's coming all the way from America. I think I'm going to ruin his show for him. I said, oh, this is so bad. What have I done? I was having doubts in my head, right? And I thought of Les Brown. And Les Brown is a motivational speaker. And there he just says, you have to put yourself in a position where you have to sink or swim. And you'll find that naturally you're a swimmer. That you have to put yourself in that position and believe and try to swim. And so I thought to myself, this is the position where I'm in right now, sink or swim. Yeah. And so I went out to the audience. Before I went out, Maz came and he's like, you've done this before? I was like, yeah, sure. In my head, going, I'm going to ruin your show. I was telepathically communicating it to him. I apologize. But Maz looked sharp, hey, buddy, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wow, it's my first proper American, that I've met.
Shout out to Maz.
Yeah, this is my first proper American. Look at him move, he's so quick. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, I can't do that. I'm going to die out there. He was so lovely, and I could see him watching me behind the curtain because I turned a couple of times. But I went out there and I loved it, and they loved me. It was great. I was telling all the stories about my mom and our refugee stories. I wasn't swearing. It was great. When I came backstage, I introduced him. When I came backstage, the promoter was like, Maz loved you. I was like, all right, great. I didn't stuff it up. And so I just repeated that process, and we did it all around Australia. And through that tour, I became mates with the promoter. And so then the promoter is from Perth, so we became mates. So then when he bought Max Amini, he's like, do you want to open for Max as well? I was like, I can't afford to sell 100 tickets. And he said, no, you don't have to. And I said, all right. So I opened for Max. And then he bought Omid. I opened for Omid Jalili.
Wow.
While I was opening for Omid Jalili, Sushi Mango was in the crowd watching. So then I met Sushi Mango and we became mates, and they asked me to perform with them at the Opera House to 2,500 people. So I performed there. And then at that show at the Opera House, Joe Avati was watching, Italian Kevin Hart. And now Joe's got me on this tour called the Comedy Cartel that I'm on, that you're going to come to. But that's how it all stemmed. I believed in myself.
Wow. That's such a, like, that story itself, it's just so inspirational, and wow. And it's like everybody just needs to really just believe in themselves, but also like that chance and go out there to grab that opportunity, because sometimes you can't just wait. You have to be a hustler. You have to go out there.
Yeah.
Wow, that's truly inspirational, Joe.
I was having dinner with Maz, and we laugh about it now.
Yeah, wow. No, so good. So good. And Maz is such a generous, just kind person. Like,
He's the
lovely.
best. I got lucky as well that I met a headliner who's amazing and nice person, and because you can meet some psychopath in this industry.
Oh, that's too funny. All right. So, Joe, this question for you, it's quite a big question. What does success mean to you?
Success for me is doing what you love doing and seeing progression in it. I think that is success. So if you're, whatever job you're doing, if you love it and you're seeing progress in it, that's success. That makes you happy and success.
Amazing. So the next round, it's going to be a quick round. So I'm going to ask you questions. You're going to give me sharp, quick answers. Are we ready?
Ready.
Perfect. Let's go. A business book or podcast that changed your thinking?
Book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Best advice you ever received?
Listen to people's opinions, but make sure the end decision is of your own conclusion, because you have to lay on that bed, not them.
Wonderful. One thing you wish you've done differently?
One thing I wish I'd done different. Started comedy sooner instead of at 29, at like 1 year old.
Yes, that's it. If you were to lose everything tomorrow, what's your first move?
If I lost everything, go for a beach walk, because I think you need to restart. So you need quiet, stillness, and you need to just breathe and think about how the hell you're going to get out of this one. So go for a beach walk.
For anyone out there that wants to start comedy, what's your best advice for them?
Just start and keep coming back, no matter the experience, whether you do well or not. Keep coming back, and just ask yourself, do I love this? Do I love this? And if you do, keep going. And when you don't, just make sure it's not because you had a bad set, because we all have that. But when you keep coming back, you get better. And so start and keep going.
Good. So Joel, Telehan, what is next for you?
For me, national tour, overseas tour. I would love to get on a couple more TV shows. So that's something I'm currently applying for. I'm really hoping I get on Crime Stoppers, so keep an eye on that for me.
Crime Stoppers? Oh, that was a joke, guys.
No, look, I've got a couple of tricks up my sleeve. So, but yeah, just continue to perform and do what I love. But I'm pretty happy at the moment with the way things are.
No, that's amazing. And last thing is, before we end the show, is there anything that you'd like to share with the viewers?
If anyone wants to connect with me, just look me up. Look up joewhitecomedian.com. That's my website, and that takes you to all my socials and YouTube channel. And yeah, that's it.
That's very good. That was my next question. But anyway, yeah, just go ahead and answer now. So guys, make sure you connect with Joe. And so I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Really enjoyed to see a different side of you. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're truly inspiration, and I can't wait to see you on stage again, Joe.
Yeah, look, I appreciate you making the time for me and giving me the space to talk about, my journey with you. And I'm very disappointed that you didn't make any mistakes today. So disappointed. Didn't even call me telephone or anything. You actually pronounced it correctly. So
I know, but it's okay. I know it's always gonna be next time. So it's
yeah,
gonna be next time.
yeah. I
But
look forward to seeing you again in Sydney, and seeing you at the show.
yeah, perfect. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed watching From Scratch to Success. That certainly is a very funny one. Joe White, thank you again. My name is Jay Ma, your host. Until next time, God bless you and see you soon.